guys, welcome to the Business Squad, and it's our Live at 5 show. So today, we're going to talk about nonprofits, and Jodi brought our guest today, which is pretty awesome. So I'll give her a minute when it comes to her to introduce, to tell our guest story. With that, as usual, when we get started, we do our introductions as a round robin, and we move through our usual segments. So first, before all that gets started, I want to say thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you watching wherever you are, be it Bangladesh or Birmingham or around the block. It's all good. And with that, I'm going to start with John, and John's going to give you an introduction. We're going to go from there.
I have to lean
Where's John?
I know.
Our mystery man. Boom.
Hi.
On camera.
Oh, my name's John. I'm with Coca-Cola Financial and a member of the Business Squad, and I am your independent life, health, long-term care, and disability insurance advisor. And I'm off camera today because I've got a big wart on the side of my face, and I chose to be in this seat.
He did it. But random software updates and technical difficulties and the gremlins that live at large has caused this problem you're experiencing today. You'll be able to hear everybody, but maybe not see everyone. So we'll go with that, though.
Yeah,
Sir,
I'm just going to roll with it. Right.
Hello, my name is James Lippens, and I am your cloud-based payroll solutions guy. Now, technically, since I'm talking to you from off-screen, it kind of fits my cloud-based.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and I promise that our software services, when they update, work just as well as they do.
Snap.
Regardless of the updates, right?
Exactly.
Is this our IT guy off camera here? Is he getting
No, so
angry? No.
I will add to that. As you entrepreneurs will know, many times you have to wear many different hats. Currently at the Business Squad and Coca-Cola Financial, the IT responsibility falls to me. Unbeknownst to me in my email system, I did not get any notification that an update occurred that would require more than 30 seconds before filming to fix. So that's where we are today. So hopefully that's the end of the discussion about it today. People off camera, and we'll move on. And we'll move on. Because I don't see anybody else stepping up. That being said, I am the financial guru here at the squad, so my job is to help your money make sense for you, be it personally or your business. A lot of times you sit down and you think your money is all figured out, but when you meet with me, I actually walk you through opportunities that you don't even know are in front of you regarding how you collect your money, raise your money, count your money, spend your money, or have your money taxed. Because last time I checked, nobody likes it taxed. Even a nonprofit has to face some considerations regarding that and how they operate with their financial books, if you will, their books financially, what have you. So with that being said, I'm the guru here at the squad, and I'll toss it off to you, Jodi.
All right, so I'm Jodi Schafer. I'm the squad's HR pro. I help you manage your most valuable resource, your people. So whether it's compliance issues, whether it's setting up policies and systems, or holding your hand through a particularly sticky employee situation, I am there every step of the way.
Excellent. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave Thurau. I'm the trusted choice independent property and casualty agent for the squad, and we make sure that, excuse me, you have risk management in place, because it's not always about buying a policy. A lot of times it's just identifying what risk is there and treating that risk in different ways. Sometimes it's just finding it and eliminating it, or finding ways to eliminate without spending money and transferring the risk to an insurance company. So, welcome. Hang out. Have a drink.
Welcome.
You want me to introduce?
Yeah, sure. Tee up your
Dr.
guest.
Phil?
Absolutely.
All right, so my guest, I'm so excited. This is my first guest that I brought to the squad, so of course you were top of mind. So this is Dr. Phil Knight, and Phil is the executive director for the Food Bank Council of Michigan. So this is the nonprofit sort of statewide network that really advocates on behalf of and works in conjunction with the 7 regional food banks around the state. So Dr. Phil has a really interesting background. I'll let him tell you that. And it's kind of fun to have the tables reversed, because he hosts a weekly radio program on the Michigan Business Network called the Leadership Lowdown, and I'm a regular guest of his, so it's kind of fun to flip it around.
Oh, shoe has flipped.
Yeah, so and actually was on the part of the search team that hired Phil into this role, so I've known him from the beginning. So
Yeah.
yeah, welcome.
Thank
The
you.
leadership lowdown.
The Leadership Lowdown
Yeah.
on the Michigan Business Network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to learn more about
Right,
that.
so
but
give us the
sorry to
lowdown,
interrupt.
Dr.
Go ahead.
Phil. Right,
Yeah.
so give us the lowdown, Dr.
All
Phil.
right. Well, I'm Phil Knight, and not the guy that owns Nike.
I was just gonna say, but not the guy who makes shoes.
And
Right.
not the Dr. Phil that's
And I'm not the
Right.
Dr. Phil either.
Right.
So, but I do have a wonderful position with the Food Bank Council of Michigan, where I serve as the executive director. And really, our mission is to create a food secure state. So the state of Michigan, everyone who struggles with hunger or has more month than they do money, our job is to make sure that they have enough food. We want to take hunger off the table,
Preach.
so their minds are then free to think about the things that you all represent, about opportunities and further education or retraining or better jobs or schooling or education, children, health, all these things that all of us deal with in life. But we operate under the idea that if you're hungry, you only have one problem. Because you're really not thinking about, your mind's not free to think about anything
It's your
else.
problem. You're hungry.
Yeah. And, we all have choices about what we eat. And unfortunately, in our state, the second most diverse agricultural state in the entire U.S., about 15.7% of the people in this population, about 22% of children, do not have enough food for today, and certainly not for tomorrow.
That's a huge problem.
Do you guys do any work with like food gatherers in Ann Arbor? Because I think
Yeah, that's one of my food banks.
Yeah, yeah.
Food gatherers out of Washtenaw County.
Yeah, started by one of the owners of Zingerman's.
Exactly,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And do you work with any work with the head chef at their Roadhouse? Because I know he does a lot of work with getting rid of getting appropriate food in schools, and also getting rid of food deserts for.
Yeah, we're involved in all of that work. Food rescue, preventing food waste, whether it's from the farmers that just don't have a secondary market.
Yeah.
We create that secondary market.
Sure.
Last year, the council and the 7 food banks distributed, the council, let me just say that, we distributed 39 million pounds of Michigan produce that would have been thrown away
Wow.
if it had not been for our
So,
efforts.
Wow.
I just want to understand, when you say it's one of your outfits or whatever,
Yeah.
you had said, does everything go through you that goes to them and then is distributed, or do you coordinate that, or what's your role really?
So think of it many of you are numbers people, so
Right,
let's do it in numbers. So there's one food bank council. We're the state association, so we're doing the trade association work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm their lobbyist, their advocate. We have a state line item in the budget, but we're so good at what we do in this rescuing of food that we've been able to, like I say, distribute 39 million pounds of produce last
They
year.
can pass through.
So this is just another
It's a
another
secondary
function
market.
that you do for them. Okay.
So the Feeding America network, the national network, says to us, wow, you guys are pretty good at that. Why don't you start sourcing Michigan produce from our farmers into the Feeding America network, which created 23 secondary markets.
Wow.
So
Wow.
our impact, financially,
That's one on our-
for lack of a better term, our trickle down, our multipliers, and the job creation that we have because of these programs. So there's one food bank council, that's us. Then there are 7 food banks that serve all 83 counties. And we do that through about 3,000 different pantries across all the communities.
Wow.
That's the work we do.
Wow.
How many employees do you have?
I have 6.
Like 6.
Yeah.
6 employees.
So it's not a huge in terms of numbers,
Right.
but in terms of
But impact
it's
is- yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, the raw numbers on that is our operating budget for our office is say $700,000, but our last year's audit will tell you the value of work that we create is about $27 million.
Yeah,
That's
right.
just us. That's just
Because you're
council.
rescuing this food that would spoil.
Right?
Right.
right? So you're
We're also the distributor for any of the emergency food in the state that comes from USDA and TFAP, flows through the Michigan Department of Education, flows through us out to our 7 food banks. So, yeah, it's pretty cool
How long
Well,
have you
it
been in
feels
this
good.
in this world.
role?
I've been in this.
Role.
No, that's, yeah.
Enough to drink
that-
for you to be that.
Yeah,
close.
let me. So I've been in the role for 18 months.
Okay.
But to answer the question I thought you asked, there are 198 countries in the world, and I've had the privilege to be in 128 of those.
Holy
Know
cow.
that.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So I've spent 9.5 years in East Africa. Naweza kutumia na lugha la Kiswahili kabisa. So,
No, I don't understand. Thanks for
Wow.
asking.
No,
Yeah.
I don't want
next
to.
first aid.
and I led the projects to build the first schools in the Buvuma Islands of Lake Victoria, and mud hut grassroots. And some of you listened to the Pure.
I did.
Reinvention.
I was. It was fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to know what drives you. And I guess it's your why, and you can tell us about that. But I guess we'll get into that. When
Well,
we
you can
start.
tell us about it now. It's all right. It doesn't necessarily fit into the whole segment, so we can go with that. What's wrong with it?
Which I thought was pretty great. The first article we read, and then what you talked about was right in line with it. Which was it on the podcast that we got to listen to.
Right.
Was your mission? I
Yeah.
guess for lack of a better word, but it talked about the different leadership styles. But then,
Yeah, ours would definitely fall into that third category on the article that we all talked about, and that is a mission-driven leadership style. So the first thing I say, I don't have a large staff, so I can't afford any mistakes.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
So-
Nope. True.
So one of the things that Jodi and I have talked about is I don't want to hire any followers,
Right.
because our mission's too important.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're dealing with people who don't have enough food to feed their
Yeah.
children today.
That's right.
I don't have any time to screw around,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I say to Jodi, and when we hire the people, that team that we put together, I only want leaders. I only want influencers. I don't want people I have to micromanage, and I don't need high maintenance people. And now there's a role and a place for followers and
Right.
even high maintenance people, but
Yeah, right.
just not in my mission, because we don't have the time or the energy, because what we do is too many people across this state are dependent upon us.
Yeah.
So nothing is more important than the mission, and we lead from that mission statement. And at the end of the day, we have a practice where we say at the end of every workday, we have a very flexible work environment because we're so mission driven. We say at the end of the day, what did I do today that furthered the mission? And if we look at that and honestly can say, well, I really didn't do anything today,
Today was.
then don't do that same shit you did tomorrow that you did today. Can I say that on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
it's not syndicated
Yeah.
yet.
Like,
Right. No worries.
There's
That's,
nobody in the back room
No.
beeping it.
yeah, right. And Jodi will tell you, that's stuff my staff, my team hears from me. If
We've
it,
had to make some changes from a personnel perspective, and it wasn't always because the skill set wasn't there. It was just that drive and that mission first, and ability to own their work and make good decisions based on what the organization needs.
Right.
It's just the comfort level wasn't there, or that high level ability wasn't there, or whatever the case might be. But we've
You flushed that out pretty quickly. I take it in that small environment.
we did, we were able to do that. And the people that were let go, I would say that they're good people.
Yeah.
Great. They just weren't going to fit in this type of leadership management style and work environment. And we try to be very, very fair to them, and they've all both landed on their feet, and they're doing well for them and their families. But again, I mean, I don't want my people to feel like that because I have this mission-driven leadership style that they're out there by themselves. I'm there for them, but
Right.
only when they need me. And so, you know, and so it so happens when they're telling me stuff about their work or purchasing this food or a load got rejected because it was spoiled or something, they all know to tell me what I need to know to make an intelligent decision.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it so happens it's 6 ladies that work on my staff. And I say this to them and they absolutely hate it. And I have all five out of the 6 have gotten it. One of them still wants to tell me, you know, if I say the grass is the grass green? They say, yes, it's green. All five of the 6 will say, yes, it's green. But one of them will say, well, it's kind of green. It's a little more green on top than it is on the bottom. And she'll start giving me all the details. And I'll have to say, stop. And she says, I know. Just give you enough details so that you can make an intelligent decision. I say, yeah. And I say, and I call her by name, and I say, I just want to see the baby. I don't need to hear about the labor pains.
Is the grass green outside?
Oh, and that's what you've said to them all, and they're like, I don't know how they take it. I can imagine.
Yeah,
You
they
got
don't really
somebody who
like
will
it
sit
too
down
much.
in the room with you and
But the
say,
point is made.
The grass is green, yeah, but we're in a drought, so next week it's gonna be brown, and you better water it.
Right, exactly. Give me the details.
So
Give me what I need to know to make a decision.
So you've relied on Jodi to help you with this, the placing the right personnel.
So I will say it like this, and I've said this before on my radio show. I've said it in public. I've said it when I've introduced her. I will never, and never's a long time, I will never make another personnel decision without Jodi's input. Won't happen.
What an endorsement!
That's an endorsement.
That is a
Yeah,
ringing
yeah,
endorsement.
Right?
You know what?
It's easy to work with clients who know what they want.
How awesome! I would love to put that in print so Jodi can put that on her website.
Yeah, absolutely.
If she hasn't done it already, you know.
Right, yeah.
But
Well, I understand we're going to blow the website up this summer,
Yeah.
so.
oh, you are.
Alone enough.
So it sounds like you were
You need to
involved
put that
in a lot of-
endorsement on
a
your
lot of
website.
Projects that affected
With his
people
face.
personally.
Him saying it.
How did you get connected to this project?
Yeah, so I say about 3/4 of my career has been spent in a nonprofit leadership role. The other quarter has been spent in advocacy. I worked for a time as a lobbyist in DC.
Yeah, so you know the ugly part of it.
Absolutely, and I
did some
love
lobbying
DC.
for the insurance industry some years ago in
Right.
DC, and it was just,
Yeah,
I'd rather see sausage made.
yeah, it'll take your soul, that place.
It really did during those years, yes.
Yeah, it can do that for sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I love to work with people that, and particularly companies that have the interest in a double bottom line, and I know that now we're talking about a triple bottom line is a big buzzword going around
What is
now.
define that for me?
Yeah.
So you know, I think all of us in our business careers want to experience some success. But somewhere along the line, and maybe even when the shadows get a little closer to us, we start thinking about significance.
Yep.
So how do we blend that success and significance? I think this millennial generation is saying that from the get-go.
Yeah.
We want to be involved in something that means something. So we ask ourselves that same question and say that, you know, I want to be involved in something that's I want to be successful in my career. I want to make some money. Let's be face it. Money gives you options that you otherwise never have. And one of the options that money gives you is the opportunity to be generous.
It's a true story.
It doesn't matter how generous you are in your heart.
Right.
If the Humane Society calls you, or the food bank calls you, or the missionary comes to your church, and you say, "Oh man, I'd like to give them $500,"
Right.
but
I got
you
$9
can only
in my
give them
account.
5.
Right, I got $9 in my account.
Money gives you options that you otherwise never have, and that I think one of those big things is the opportunity to be generous. So it's trying to find that balance between both success and
I don't want
significance.
to move too far from what we were talking about, but you brought something up and I have a question. You said the millennials get it from the beginning, from
Yeah.
the start. Do you think that creates friction in business as a whole, because the older generation
school
doesn't
business.
grab it like that, they don't get it that quickly.
I think that there's definitely some friction within the generational divide or gaps, so to speak. But yeah, I think that there's an opportunity to build that bridge there too, because look at my hair color. The closer I get to that end, I'm a lot closer to the end than I am the beginning now. And the millennials are coming in with that value system entrenched in them, that they want to be a part of something that's bigger than they are and will last longer than they do. And when you get down to it, I really think that crosses generations.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah,
Yeah, who doesn't? Right.
Well, how easy it is to I think would manage people that have a vision and are part and tied into the vision, right?
Right.
They have a mission or a vision that inspires them. I mean, what else do you need?
Well,
Right.
some of those
I
other
mean,
differences
guidance,
then
but-
fall away.
What's that?
Right, they do.
When you have the same mission or goal, when that's in alignment, then the generational differences and the things that you could get hung up on sort of fall away.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because the mission's bigger than any of that.
I mean,
Right.
it's not magic, and it does take work, and it does take some intentional
Commitment to it.
communication, and kind of you sat
Right.
down with your team and said, look, what are we about? How are we going to handle conflict internally? They kind of set the ground rules. That helps. 'Cause
Right.
there will be some friction. Not all friction's bad. I mean,
No.
that
No.
friction is what allows you to sort of decide what ideas have merit and what stuff we've been doing forever, but there's really no purpose and we have to discard it. So the goal isn't to eliminate friction. The goal is to just make sure that it's constructive.
The
and it gives
friction
you
doesn't
lift.
destroy the environment.
Yes.
You have
It's
to
okay,
create the
right?
lubrication.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Is
I
it
guess,
lift
yeah.
or is it implosion? Right. So like
Right.
that's
Well, and there's a whole business class. We talked about this once in one of our past episodes. There's a whole business class that's coming now, a classification for your business, and I want to call it the B Corp, I believe. And as the B Corp, it says that I have a mission greater than my business. My mission is to make zero negative impact to the environment, improve my community around me,
Tom
and all these
Shoes.
things.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
going to create my business with that
Yeah.
premise. I can still make a profit, but as long as I check into these greater values than myself, my entity, I'm good. I'm staying true to my mission. And I believe that's a B Corp, I believe.
Right.
And if our legal eagle was here, he'd correct it for me, let me know. But at any rate, and Ben, wherever you are, hope you won the case, dude. All right. And so at any rate, that being said, that B Corp, as it works going forward, fits into that whole grand scheme. And I think given millennials specifically because they're all about a collaborative thought process. They're all about collaborative working process.
Right.
The nonprofits and their general mission of we're working for the greater good feeds to them, as well as not-for-profits as well, because of that whole same premise that I don't need a profit as long as I get enough for what I need to live, and I'm working towards lifting up to a greater goal. I'm in, right?
Sure.
So I think we're at an age where that's going to be even more prevalent going forward for sure.
Does that B Corp get any kind of breaks or discounts or
None.
any kind of anything
No,
for?
I think
Nope.
it's a frame of mind. So
Yep.
to kind of play out
Yeah.
that, the lady that I bought my consulting business from, we live in the same town, we have a lot of contact with each other, and she said, when I started this 20 years ago, there's a reason I didn't call it Tony Talbot Consulting, because I wanted to create an opportunity for women, specifically working moms, to do something that was professionally satisfying and still have the flexibility to be there with their kids. So we just happen to be in the human resources industry. But the way in which she structured it, the fact that all of the consultants in our group are female, all of us have children,
Sexist.
had children,
Mhm.
almost will have children.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we are, that's what we're about,
Right.
And we love our guys, but you won't be
Sorry.
on my team.
No, but you're on our team. So
Yeah,
wait a minute.
that's
What is
right.
what is that?
And legal disclosure, she would hire you if you're a guy. She got large.
I don't have any employees, so this is all just who I choose to
Again,
contract with.
non-discriminatory exposure. Disclosure. No, it's all good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just that greater purpose. It's not all about
That's correct. I got
the
that.
bottom line.
Okay.
I think you're right.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we kind of let the first segment kind of just bleed all together, which is fine, and we call it the pulse. And it's usually a round robin discussion. It's gonna be all about you because you've got a pretty awesome career. So we thought we'd run with you for a good chunk of our show. So
Thank you.
go with that. We'll give you the feather later and your trophy. But
You don't work
Everybody
for
gets
that.
a trophy to do
Do I need to leave this segment?
right. Oh, Bobby, drum roll. All right, the new doctor, come on in. No, but that being said, our next segment is called The Good, the Bad, and the Squad. In this segment, the squad generally discusses various topics relative to the business owner. It's a point where you get to weigh in with whatever the topics are at large, and I'm assuming you got your homework, so you have an idea what we're going over. So this is about saving the 40%. The fact is that many kids apply for school and they don't even go. They get approved, they get it, but it doesn't happen. And so the article talks about some solutions for it, but I want you guys to fire away with some of your ideas relative to what you read, good, wrong, indifferent, whatever, and then what you think might be or would apply. So
What did they call that? The summer, is it summer bleed or?
Summer, yeah, it was the summer.
what they call it? Yeah, non-profit summer melting away.
The summer melt.
Yeah.
Yeah, melting
Well,
away.
I have a young man that just graduated from high school, and we have a plan for him. But I am keenly aware of that summer melt term,
Sure.
and we're not going to wait until July to get to dig deep into this. We're doing it now.
I read the article,
Yeah.
and I know the statistics that currently more high school graduates are enrolling and going to college than before. But this MELT thing is an interesting thing because college is prohibitively expensive for all students who are going into it. Not to mention if you go on to graduate school or medical school or
Right, or
get a
something,
PhD
yeah,
or
right.
something like that.
Parents are mortgaging their lives.
I honestly believe we do need a little more reliance in this country on vocational training, because not all of those students who are in this 40% of MELT actually need to or want to go to college, and that's why they're melting off.
I agree.
But they don't have alternative programs to go in and train with
Agree
Right.
with that.
currently.
And because of that, our skilled trades and a lot of trades are suffering
Yeah.
right now because
They're
they.
starving.
I have clients.
But-
I have a lot of contractor clients.
Yeah, but I mean, do you know how hard it is to get into an electrician's apprentice program? I mean, it is very hard, and it takes a long time.
You have to know somebody.
Right, but that's
Yeah,
a
it shouldn't
problem,
be that way.
you know.
Shouldn't be
That
that
is
way.
a problem.
Shouldn't be
Yeah.
that
So-
But
way.
it's always been that way. It's just more
It
prevalent
has,
now.
but there are many other countries around the world that actually have great vocational training programs that start even in high school and then push
Yeah,
you forward.
no, right.
Sweden is huge on that.
yeah.
They pick you. in
Right,
high school
and,
have specific
I believe,
schools that they send you to.
I'm trying to think of the other, not Nordic, but I can't.
Finland, Denmark,
South of Germany, I can't remember.
Austria.
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 Has an amazing vocational program that actually starts like when you're a sophomore, essentially in high school. So when you're like 15, you choose: am I going to college or am I going to be vocational?
Yeah,
and then they train you to that point.
Well, that's
but-
like Germany, but my understanding is that when you pick something in Germany, you're stuck. That's your
That's
path
true.
that you're on.
But in this country, over 70% of the people who graduate with a bachelor's degree never end up working in that field.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
I would be
know.
one of those.
Yeah.
I would be one of those.
I don't know
Your
anyone that
degrees
went to
in
school
basket
with
weaving
that is
or
actually working in there.
Yeah, I was
Right.
going to be a high school
Major.
teacher in psychology and sociology, but nobody hires for those.
Right, yeah.
Wasn't a
But
great.
you're using those skills.
I do use
Sure
those
does.
skills, but
Yes, you
I,
do.
you know,
Yeah, that's
part
different.
of the
Yeah.
other thing that I could think that could help with this is, so something that President Obama talked about, more of reliance on community colleges, I think is
you know what?
another great example of how to fix this problem.
So, just anecdotally,
Mhm.
I have several friends who have, and it seems to be their firstborn, where they haven't done this college thing yet. The child is one that they've had to like come behind,
Shove 'em,
every year along high school.
Push
to
'em
make
to
sure
the
the
edge.
homework's getting
Push,
started.
push.
And they don't have a strong propensity towards a skilled trade or it's just like they just haven't grown up yet. And part of it is because we allowed children to go way too long without responsibility, in my opinion.
Helicopter parents.
Yeah,
Right.
so they started doing this because, like LCC for example, right? Lansing Community College, you can go to LCC, and a lot of them live at home for the first year, and get 2 years worth of credits, and then when you're ready and you've proven that you can handle this college thing,
Then you move on.
Then I move on to Grand Valley or MSU or wherever, and when you graduate, your degree says
That's, I mean,
Grand Valley,
it's an awesome
that's
point. I
awesome.
mean, my mother was a professor at Washtenaw Community College for about 20 years. She ran their ESL and study skills programs. So when when college kids came to school and they weren't really able to study, she taught them study skills, or
Right.
remedial reading and things like that. This is very important. I went to community college when I was started my junior year of high school. So I finished my last 2 years of high school with just full community college-based programs. And that's not for everybody, but my community college experience, going into my college experience and graduate school, helped me so much. I mean, I got my graduate degree by the time I was 23, which most people don't have.
Wow.
But having that experience in community college really pushes you towards that.
The hard part of this is, and the kind of the flip side of the coin of what my friends weren't necessarily prepared for, is that financially it makes sense, and kind of this sort of gradual entry makes sense, but socially it's a struggle because the child,
Right.
most of their friends have gone off to
That's
four-year
true.
institutions where you live on campus and you have a full-on college experience.
That is very
And this
true.
guy is living at home, but he's like an adult, wants to be an adult, but he's
Yeah.
still living at home, and like his friends are gone, and he's trying to figure out where that fit is. And she says, I wonder if, this one friend in particular, I wonder if I did him a disservice. I wonder if
Or
I
worse
should.
That's James would argue
or worse
different.
yet is that they get connected to all the friends who don't know what the hell they're doing,
Yeah.
and they become like they're on this circle of like I don't even know what I'm doing, so they tag into that social network, and they become disconnected to the advancing of their own education experience.
I've experienced that. It said the ones that stay home are the ones that have no motivation.
Yeah.
It seems, and that's the social group that they
Sort of
bind with.
isolating,
Yeah, well, you're a product of your environment, really. So.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's a double-edged sword. I mean, being in a dorm situation in a college, that culture you're talking about is just, it's part
It's
of
good
culture.
time.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, but it's
it's
pretty
not study.
pretty rough stuff too.
That depends on where you go.
Right?
I guess.
That depends on
Yeah.
where you go.
Yeah.
I know for me at Northwood doing that, you had the whole dorm life stuff and all the shenanigans went on and drunkenness at 2 a.m. in the middle of the hallway, that kind of craziness. But at the same time, everybody there was committed to the same. We're all on the same boat.
Yeah.
We're all rowing towards the same place. So if I went in the middle of the day the next day and I met somebody down at the quad and we're talking, they're the same problems I do. Like I stayed up to 3 a.m. I'm gonna fail my class. Dude, that sucks. That gets all there. Versus if you're at home and you call up your friend Fred and Fred's like, you're in school. You got study work? Brr, you suck. Right. Yeah, come on, dude. We're not drinking tomorrow. Wow, I gotta study. That whole dynamic.
Harder to break
Like,
away.
It's hard. It's hard to actually set it straight. I have friends of mine that, I think of them as family because I've known them forever, and it took them literally over a decade to complete their education.
Oh, man.
Because they went through that process.
Yeah.
They started at home. They said OCC, this step, screw around, start, stop.
I mean, it happens with
Start,
all
start,
generations.
Don't forget
You
the
met-
financial part of
James,
that.
you met my father.
Kids get overwhelmed
a
with
couple
that.
weeks ago.
Some of them can't even come up with, the initial entry.
No, right, and it talked about that, and that's a big part of the summer melt that they
Sure.
talked about is it's just little things, and what the whole program was, it was a volunteer program, but anybody was welcome, and it was in Indiana or some Illinois, I'm not sure.
St. Louis.
Okay, one of those.
It's
places.
there.
Some-
It's there in the U.S.
Yeah.
So it wasn't around here, but
There you
okay. But anyone could stop in, and the statistics were like with 3 or 4 hours of this counseling, made a radical difference in
Fantastic.
eliminating
Well, they
that
felt
summer
that they had the
summer melt.
support, they learned, instead of being dumped on, with that
Well-
responsibility. A lot of children today don't get an opportunity to have that kind of responsibility.
Right.
They're not taught that.
And I would
No,
argue
right.
that the whole system, so the whole traditional college education space, I think is going to dramatically change over the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
It
So
just
as you
makes
see
the
it today, it's
states-
not going to exist. You're going to have stuff like the Khan Academy and other disruptors that are coming now that are providing structured educational experiences at the speed at which someone can take it in, finish all the courses, get all the ticky sheets, whatever, and then also experience at a local level if I need to engage with you guys and talk about a project, there's people that work on the same stuff, same time, and it costs fractions or free. Right? And the big universities, they're seeing this now. That's why MIT has they call it a certificate program, but it's equivalent of their old associate's program. You can get for nothing.
Yeah, Harvard
is
Business
doing
School
it.
has the same
Harvard's
thing.
doing it. A lot of them, because they realize, like, oh man, we're going to lose our students. Lose our students, what's our purpose, right? Now, for me, as a card-carrying libertarian and stout fan of good old Thomas Jefferson, Jefferson and Franklin, forever gone a day, said all universities in this country should cost nothing. Because our greatest asset is what knowledge we transfer to the next generation. That's all we have. We have nothing else. So University of Virginia, University of Pennsylvania, they were free initially. Cost nothing. You could go, become a student, spend 10 years there. 30
What
years,
happened?
they didn't care.
What's
Well, I
the
can
second-
tell you what
business?
What's the
What
second
happened?
in California?
Which
I mean,
one?
in California you pay through the nose
It's
in
about the
taxes.
cash.
Yeah, but
don't
they do have
but isn't that the
state
the
I don't know.
school. I think they have a large state school subsidy.
or
there.
it's free?
Yeah, yeah.
South Carolina does too.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. It would be a good thing to manage free college, but to pair with that, we couldn't take all these kids that were admitting to four-year college institutions and say, everything's free. You need to have some other sort of training.
In the current model, right? So if I said that so for example, in my community level or my basics, I had to show competency through online free courses. Pass. The testing's in real time. Let's say I'm sitting here now, there's a camera that's watching everybody in the system, make sure you're not cheating, you're taking you know what I mean?
And
It's
it
ways
works
to
for a
solve
lot
it,
of
you know?
things. Like I could go through and get a degree in American literature and something like that.
Well, I
That's
think
fine,
basics,
but
right?
if I'm going to be an environmental scientist, or I'm going to be a doctor, I need
Academy philosophy.
an actual program.
But you still have licensing and board.
That's true.
Right, that's right. It doesn't go away.
Well, and this higher education isn't available to just anybody in a system like that. It's only available to the ones that have earned their way to it. You know what I mean? If you don't, apply yourself and pass the classes that you're building yourself up to, then you just don't get a free ride to be like a John Belushi.
Not everybody gets a trophy, is what you're saying?
Yeah, you're just not a career student like John Belushi. But what you do is, you pass this level, then the door opens up to the next, and you get to move
Well,
on.
and that's why I say that.
And I think that's how it is in
online
in Europe. The education in Europe is
That's the
is
way.
like that.
That's the way it works in England. You have to go through specific levels of high school, which they call
Which ends at
secondary
about age
school.
16.
Right, and then push into your A levels, and then from there you get placed in a university, and it is free.
And it's according to your
Aptitude.
your aptitude.
right.
You're tested both in personality and as well as aptitude.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a doctor, but they say you're a better plumber, you're going to be a plumber.
Yeah, the Brave New World is
Right.
perfect. What? No.
You know,
I'm like, yeah.
yeah. So I know we're talking about higher education,
Sure,
but
yeah.
I just have to interject here because I was at the Mackinac Policy Conference
Fantastic. Did you say hi to Larry Reed?
last week, for that event, and I sat in on a session that had a PNC Bank president from Southeast Region, and Rip Rapson, the president of the Kresge Foundation, a businessman, and then the vice president from Kellogg Foundation. So PNC Bank is putting $100 million into Southeast Michigan for early childhood education.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about higher education here.
Yeah.
But
Early
from my
childhood.
point, from the chair I sit in, let me just, if I can, just simply say that one of the reasons we're not getting the educational outcomes at university level or high school or public education or charter schools or anything you want is because children from birth to school age do not have access to proper nutrition. And I'm saying to the PNC, I'm saying to all these people who have great intentions to invest in early childhood education, that if access to healthy nutritional food is not part of that for a child from birth to school age, their brain will never develop. And when we talk a lot in this state, not only about higher education outcomes, but we talk about the next generation's workforce, we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we do not invest in nutrition for these children.
I totally agree. The school system in the community that I live in, Dexter, is committed to offering students healthy food to the point where at my son's elementary school, they grow food they eat in their cafeteria
Right.
at the school in gardens. The kids are responsible for growing that food.
Perfect example.
I just saw an article about the First Lady's food program being shot down, in that the standards that they had established had created a meal standard that the kids just wouldn't eat.
Oh,
right?
right.
And she's kind of pissed because her mark on the world is getting washed away right away before she's even out of office, so to speak. But they wash that stuff away so that now the schools can produce stuff that the kids are going to eat and not throw in the garbage. What is your experience with any of that?
So I would say that if I had, we have a program for elementary schools where it's called a backpack program, where every kid who's on free and reduced lunch, the food bank that serves that area will prepare a snack, healthy, and they will take it and put it in that child's locker for, at the end of the day, the kid can come and put it in their backpack, so it's not labeling them, it's not
So they don't get the peer pressure.
They're not wearing a bag. I'm the poor kid in town.
I'm the poor kid, a different colored card that you have to use when, all that.
Very cool.
I know.
So what happens to that kid when they grow up and go to middle school? Well, consequently, they're technically hungrier because they're bigger. So what we're doing is starting a pilot across Michigan with the Michigan Association of the Michigan Alternative Educators Organization, Mayo, and we're putting pantries in middle and high schools across the state.
Great idea.
And
Where they can come in and they can take off the shelf.
And talking about service oriented, the kids are the ones who are prepping the boxes and preparing the food and distributing it.
And gleefully doing it.
Gleefully doing it. And it's the schools are open early, they're open late, they have a security, they're used to people coming in and out. It's not just set up for, like anybody can come anytime. There's certain hours, it's got some protocols to it. But that's kind of simple solution. So what would it cost to
So they
set
get
up?
to backpack, so they get the one meal at school,
They
right?
get our breakfast, our lunch.
Okay, and then they get something to take home and to round out their day.
That's the elementary level. In the middle school, we're putting the pantries in the middle school. In particular, we're starting with the alternative high schools. But just think about cost for a minute. So if you say, wow, we had Dr. Phil on the program today. I want to give something to my local pantry, my food bank. So you stop over here at Meijer. You're going to spend $10. You're going to buy this much food. Don't do it. Give me the $10.
Right, because you're going
and
to
I'll buy this much food.
Right.
Because I'm buying it from the farmer. I'm buying seconds they can't use. I'm using it to leverage with USDA, the Department of Agriculture.
Like the ugly fruit, right?
Give it to me. I can create $1.60 worth of value for every dollar that you give me. And so, why not? So a couple of things. Food is not the answer to hunger. It's a part of the solution, but it's not the answer. The greatest tool in the anti-hunger toolbox is a full-time job that pays a living wage.
Oh yeah.
That's the greatest tool in the toolbox. So let's grow.
Empowering people to feed their families.
Absolutely. It ties right into what Jodi's business philosophy is and how she bought her business, the whole bit. It's empowering people to be able to do for themselves.
What's the whole minimum wage thing? You could get into that whole argument that Walmart is, the whole workforce is subsidized because they're not paid a living wage.
Well, subsidized too, because they rely on government money.
Well,
For
they're not
their
subsidized.
employees to
They
live.
don't
That's
make a
fire
living
hydrants.
wage, so they all get welfare, on top of it. So.
But and I'm far be it for me to take up for anybody and
You're right.
label myself, but Walmart's not the only one.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. They just happen to be the largest employer in the country, right?
But there's plenty of union-operated grocery stores that are doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, don't say that right here.
Oh, no,
That's
he just
county,
did.
man. Right.
He just
I mean,
did.
if you're talking about a living wage, look, when somebody
gotta
makes
edit that part.
$11, yeah, please, $11.50 an hour. When a person makes $11.50 an hour in the state of Michigan, they fall off the benefits cliff. There is nothing for them. No state, no federal,
Right.
nothing.
So
for
they
them.
need to stay at $10 an hour, and they can't take any overtime, and then they get a rich little benefit that they can live on.
and
Keeps
it,
them here.
it takes the incentive away from them.
Because I'm talking to them every day about the exchange and healthcare and all that other stuff.
so they got to make $17.50 an hour to make up where they were at
Same place.
prior to $11.50 an hour. That's a $6 an hour gap.
Yeah, I get it.
Man, that's tough. How are we going to get people? Somebody gets maybe $12, $13, $14 an hour. That's a pretty damn good job.
Well, maybe what they need
So
to
what-
do is it's a mix. It's a mix with the wage, but also the benefit. The benefit has to be scaled somehow.
All right.
So let's.
Excellent. Let's put me and you in charge of that because we can have the conversation. The problem is people on the left and people on the right will not have that conversation.
Right.
Whether it's about minimum wage, whether it's about scaling benefits, whether it's about
because
SNAP
because
benefits
it's all
or
tied
about
to a
child.
vote. It's all tied to a vote and power and control.
So you got to be able to have those hard conversations and have them, I don't know, with a bourbon in your hand or something, so you can at least have the conversation. I'm not advocating an ideology here, but I'm just saying,
fix
why
the
in the
problem.
hell is anybody hungry in the state of Michigan? We're the second most diverse agricultural state in the entire
and the
union.
eighth-
That's what I loved about what you said. Is it's not about what was it controlling or minimizing the hunger. It's eliminating the hunger.
Absolutely.
What did you call
we
it?
Don't, we don't want to alleviate it.
Alleviate. That's the word.
Why
Yeah, eliminate.
We're a bunch of chickens. We let hunger intimidate us, bully us. We let it think that it's smarter than we are, that it's better than we are.
And we got
that's-
to live with it. I know. I liked what you said. I mean,
Bullshit.
you got me enrolled. Really.
Hunger's not better than we are. It's not, and it's not beyond us to solve.
Okay. It's not.
Just checking.
Look at the screen.
He's checking his email. I like what you have to say. Though. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would argue the end of it is that it's not a question of that people think it's that. They don't even think of it. Does that make sense? Like,
No, they're
someone
insulated.
gets up tomorrow, they go to work, they do their thing, and in their world of thought fits in this box.
Right.
That's it. And when the news system says, booga, 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 get scared, Zika, nooga, nooga, oh, run, scare, hide, run, scare, hide, run, hide, scare. That's it. And then they go back to their box of the world. I would argue the whole thing with your argument about hunger and everything else, I think technology will deliver us from that place. And I say this to these guys all the time. I'm sure some people are like, can I speak? Thank you. And technology will deliver us from this place, right? So if you go look at the vertical farming that's done now in urban spaces now, and I think that if as organizations like yours striving towards eliminating hunger in areas where there's not resource available, or it's being skewed the other way, right?
Right.
To drive towards those type of situations and making like a co-op that's community driven. There's a vertical farm where everybody buys in, make sure everybody eats, and those kind of like different ways of doing it are what lies ahead.
Innovative.
That's correct. And I think what needs to really happen is guys like you that have the passion and the vision and speaks and says, hey, look, I need thought leaders to come my way. Right. I can't keep doing it the old way because the old way isn't enough. Exactly. I need to do it multiple, and I need to leverage, and I need to change the whole paradox. I need to break it apart and do it in a whole different way that I've never thought of doing, and I can't. So I need your help. And that's the business squad, same kind of process. We think different because of that reason, and I think where you're at, that's the direction where it's not thought of to think that way, and because in nonprofits, it's just what it is. I'm gonna do what I can, address immediate needs. I see someone bleeding down the street, I gotta fix it. I can do whatever. But yeah, at least
you never have to confuse me with the do-gooder.
Right on. I know, I get that.
What do you mean?
I get that with you.
So, look, food banking's only about 35 years old in this nation. So relatively, we're a pretty young industry.
Yeah.
But we already realize that it would be the definition of insanity to continue to do the same things and expect different results. Because if delivering food to people was enough, we would have already solved hunger.
That's what I mean.
Right.
That's correct. That's
So we
correct.
have to be innovative, and we have to be in places where there are no resources for food. So we have programs, pilots, called, for example, the Community Food Club is on a Division Street, right on the bus stop, South Division Street in Grand Rapids, and it's a club where people pay a membership fee that goes to some of what you were talking about in education. In my experience, internationally particularly, that if it doesn't cost somebody something, it won't mean anything.
Right.
There's no value.
There's no value
That's
to
right.
it.
You just give it to someone, they're like, oh, it's
Yeah, that's
free.
right. So-
you can fill a
free
church up in
education-
any country you want to
That's
if
right.
you give away rice.
That's right.
You got rice Christians, or you got Mabati Christians, 10
Right.
Christians, they can
That's
put it
right.
on their roof.
That's
So we have these pilots for community food clubs that people have a vested interest in. And we have the My Neighborhood Mobile Grocery that we're doing in the Mercado in Detroit, and we're taking to Flint as well. So that there are no grocery stores, none. There are no retail. And you can say, wait a minute, there's a grocery store, there's a liquor
Like
store there,
26
and they're
miles.
selling.
That's not grocery.
They're selling an apple for $1. Well, who's going to buy that?
Right.
And Jodi's drinking tequila. Lemon and limes. I'm not, unless you're attacking scurvy, is not access to
That's
fresh produce.
Exactly right.
Right, and Fritos doesn't cut the mustard.
It just doesn't up. It's not enough. So you got to, particularly with kids,
Right.
and that's what gets me.
So let me just interject here, because I think this will kind of add to the idea that you need partners in this, and you can't do it
Yeah.
alone.
Absolutely.
So I share, we did a retreat for another nonprofit, not-for-profit, yesterday actually. And they were talking about, we took them to Detroit. And we had them interact with several folks in Detroit that had really great reinvention stories, where they reinvented themselves, or they reinvented the business, or whatever the case might be. And one of the takeaways from that was, wow, none of these folks did it alone, right?
That's it.
And I said, and so I shared with them, because I think this is fantastic, I have a client, Dr. Phil, and he happens to run, right, the Food Bank Council of Michigan. And what's really interesting is he, very early on, figured out, and he said he says this to his staff, right, who wins when we win? And so it's not just about we need more people, it's we need people that have a vested interest in the same outcome. We might attack it from
Vision.
the side of hunger, but they're gonna, they have the same end goal, but they're in healthcare, they're in insurance, they're in, right, but we all would win if we could alleviate hunger.
That's right.
So who wins when we win? And you got a really great story about a screening,
Right.
or a preventative care screen. Would you mind sharing? Because I think it's
No.
just that next level of thought.
Okay.
Well, we did a pilot in Greater Lansing with McLaren Hospital, and we asked them to pick whatever they wanted, because we think we can have impact and manage disease and access to healthy, nutritious food.
Sure.
But they picked something that was totally non-nutritious based, and so they wanted to do breast cancer screenings. So they picked that, and that's what they chose. They have a baseline for their attendance, and they provide transport to and from. They know what that baseline is,
And these are free.
and it's free.
Free screens.
It's 100% free under the Affordable Care Act. So what happens? We did a food distribution in conjunction with that, and what did their attendance rise?
Like 1,000% or something.
74%.
Because they got something else for the trip.
Right.
Because
You know what I
the
mean?
people that need this
Are hungry.
are hungry.
Sure.
I mean, when you look at which population is accessing the emergency room for their care because they don't have access to a primary care physician, or they've never been introduced, they've never lived a life where you went to the doctor preventatively. You
Right.
waited until you were so sick,
Right.
then you went to the ER, and that's just so.
Yeah.
So whether it's dollars or whether it's just that's how I grew up, this is sort of what I know.
And it's
Trying
what
to
they
break
know.
all
But
those
nutrition is
habits.
health.
Well, you got 15% of the population using about 80% of the healthcare system.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
we
the
spend
senior.
1,000.
That's the senior band, is what
Not all
what that
senior,
is.
though.
Not all. No, it's managed disease too. So it's we spend $1,091 if you're an insurance provider. You spend $1,091 more on a person who's food insecure than one who isn't.
Yeah, because it's fixing the problem after it happened, not preventing
Right.
the problem.
Right.
I can
I get
impact that bottom line for a mere $150 per person per year.
So your argument, and it's obvious here though, is that everything stems from, solve this hunger problem, solve, many problems.
The body's a machine, right? If it doesn't have nutrients to run.
Right. So the bottom. Somebody says, Phil, when are you going to solve hunger in Michigan? I'll tell you when we're going to solve it. When hunger gets into someone's business plan, like the health system, like the hospitals, over 40% of readmissions in the hospital within the penalty hour, over 40% of those readmissions are due to food insecurity. People don't have enough food, or they don't have
Such
the
a
right
great
kinds
point.
of food.
Like I was talking about food gatherers in Washtenaw County being started by, I think his name is Ari. I forget what his last name is, but the owner of Zinger.
For the deli, yeah.
They have a phenomenal business model. They make tons of money, but they dedicated themselves to starting a food bank in Washtenaw County.
And that's what Food
And they
Gatherers is
continue
today.
To build to push it and build it.
Right.
You can't go to a Zingerman's restaurant without having something posted about donating to food gatherers. They donate tons of food there. They run, they run benefits for them constantly.
Absolutely.
But this is that like what you said, until hunger gets into a business model, and that's
Right,
what
so
they've done.
you can appeal to people's, kind heart.
Right.
Oh, people shouldn't be hungry. That's terrible. Oh my goodness, I'm going to donate to that cause. But as you say, charity
Can't
is not
scale.
gonna solve
You
the
can't
problem.
scale
I mean,
charity.
even though, like for example,
Right.
the head chef at their restaurant, which is called Zingerman's Roadhouse, he's a James Beard award-winning chef. He will cook lunches for the students in the school district once a month with homegrown vegetables and produce from their farm. And I mean, that's amazing.
Trying to just see that, food in the business model. Explain what you envision.
So look at the healthcare system, just
Okay.
like what we're talking about there. That
Okay.
when they see the value that we bring, access and trust to the people that we serve, like we did with the pilot to raise their attendance by 74%. When that gets into somebody's business model,
Got it.
then the resource stream to solve hunger is
So
there.
the healthcare provider or whatever is gonna focus on not only because we've got like in Medicare we have providers that are actually, if somebody fails to re-up their prescription, they're on the phone with them. Hey, what's the problem? Why aren't you? Why
Right.
didn't you renew your prescription? Do we have to send it to you? And they'll send it to them.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
Or
right,
they'll tax
right.
it to them or something. But
So-
you're saying a step further is, you know what? You're not eating enough. And
The
we
food-
know
yeah.
you're
It's gotta
malnutrition
be
or
a line
something.
item in the budget.
Food
is what
security.
he's
Yeah.
saying.
Right.
So a hospital, in their budget, in terms of operating expenses and where dollars go,
Medical plans, right?
that food security piece has to be a line item in the budget because it directly ties to their outcomes and their bottom line. So they have a vested interest in it, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it makes sense.
they've come to, just step right through there
Thank
and
you.
go all the way to the end of the
I
hallway.
think y'all don't need me to continue this,
No.
but I'm coming back.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Well, what they've gotten to is accessible health care is what they've gotten to, but not feeding them,
Well,
I guess.
but what he said was, it's a 10-to-1 return.
Right.
You spend, if I'm an insurance carrier, I spend $160, I get $1,000+ in savings, because I
On
know
the
that
backside,
if I'm
right.
not feeding Sally gets malnourished. If Sally gets malnourished, her body's not able to stay healthy. She's not able to stay healthy, she gets weak, she falls downstairs, she does all these other things.
Or the
I
other
know-
side of it, right? The food that she's eating isn't healthy for her.
Oh, well, that's one other
She,
story, right?
right? She becomes high blood pressure, diabetes, all these,
Who knows,
these
whatever.
long-term, like really expensive diseases.
Right. So, but getting that, it gets difficult, right? Because Michelle Obama, the first lady is trying to control what people are eating and they're rejecting it out of hand, right?
They can't, yeah.
You can't, so it's about, what is it, education?
Yeah.
It falls to education.
And I
again.
think it's that, yep, I'd agree. With that being said, this has been a really good topic.
That's been a great
Great guest.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely, we'll have him back. I
For
think.
sure. For
And
sure.
we'll go on to the next segment. He doesn't need to be here for this. It's our segment called From the Field. In this segment, we cover some issues that our clients may bring up, some of the experiences we've had over the week, and some of the impact from that. With that being said, I'll open it first to the floor before I go with mine.
I'll go
Yeah, go
first.
ahead, yeah.
So this ties in with nonprofit versus not-for-profit, and also this the overtime regulations that are going to be coming into effect. So I have a client. It happens to be one of Phil's members. It's a food bank,
Okay.
and a significant portion of their revenue is based on donations or grants. So it's not sales of goods, those kinds of things. And my initial reading of the Fair Labor Standards Act said there aren't specific carve-outs for nonprofits.
Nope.
If you hit that $500,000 threshold,
Sorry.
or you have folks participating in interstate commerce, sorry,
Sorry.
that's not true. So the Department of Labor gave a webinar through Feeding America, which is this national group that Phil's organization is a part of. And if you are a religious, charitable, or human services agency, then those dollars that are coming in as part of the donation
Yep.
don't count towards the $500,000 threshold. And if you have segments of your business that are providing services, so the example that they use a lot is like a museum, for example. A museum, right, is sort of nonprofit, but they might have a gift shop, and the gift shop has
It's
sales.
subject to, yeah.
So what they're saying is you can carve out all of the museum employees. They're not subject to these new regulations, but the gift shop employees are. So if you kind of think about that in relation to your food banks, there are some specific carve-outs. It's not as broad and general as I thought it was in the beginning. And so if you are a nonprofit, if you're a religious, charitable, or human services agency that relies heavily on donations or even grant funding, and you're not providing services in exchange for dollars that for-profit entities provide, so a gift shop, for example, right? Whether you're a nonprofit or for-profit,
Right.
Doesn't matter. Right.
then you may have certain protections from these new regulations that are coming out December 1. So,
May,
Just-
all kind of,
Powerful.
hey,
Kinda-
but I mean, it
kinda
was- it was
confusing, but
more than, I mean,
it's better than
kind of
nothing.
pretty
Even if they
slim.
have like garage
Caveat.
sales and that type of stuff, would that be qualified as a?
Well, you know what it is?
Goodwill,
You
for
need a
example,
professional
probably
to
can,
help
but
you
You do,
determine
so
it.
you want someone like Ben, who's our legal
Yep.
to really take your scenario and compare it against the Fair Labor
And
Standards Act.
Ben
but-
did some great looking into this, but when I originally went through my seminar for the Fair Labor Standard Act, which was like 2 days before they actually released the regulation, they were telling me that they were telling us that interstate commerce meant like basically if you process a credit card
Which
payment,
is-
Right, because
Yes.
money came from
covered,
another.
no matter what.
Which is true.
You might have $10 in
Right.
sales, but if you got it via
Right.
credit card, you're
Yeah, I
covered.
think they're
So-
refining it though.
So this is, so the one client, right, is a food bank.
Yeah.
And the warehouse itself has some sales. I don't know how that works, but the warehouse folks might be covered. The food bank itself, a lot of those folks are grant funded positions. That position would not exist if it weren't
Right,
for the grant.
grant.
But the fundraiser's the one where we're like, the fundraiser's making calls across state lines, they're probably processing payment. So that one position. So what was interesting to me is that it's not a broad brushstroke, which typically a lot of these regulations are
Right.
built to be,
Absolutely.
if you are at all eligible, everybody's eligible.
Well, that's it.
Everyone's
When we
in
were
this.
on this seminar, we were like, that means like any business, anywhere, anytime is basically covered under this exempt
And
status.
that's generally
Like-
true, but the
Mhm.
Department of Labor folks in this particular webinar
Yeah.
were saying if you're in these particular
They're trying to
nonprofit
carve out
industries,
protections out
they're
there.
trying to. So
Yeah, I get
I'm
it.
not an expert in this, but I'm just saying if you are
Yeah.
in one of those industries, contact, right, the business squad will put you in touch with Ben or whoever you're using for your attorney
Sure.
who's an expert here and make sure
Don't
you
just
know.
assume.
Don't just assume.
Don't just
Yeah,
assume.
thank you very much.
And
That's great.
Dave?
That's cool.
What, you got anything this week? You opened your.
Well, I wrote a couple things down, and I think I have a couple nonprofit clients, and they initially said, "Well, we're protected because of the charitable immunity law."
Mm-hmm.
Like that's based on an 1861 English law decision that basically went by the way of dinosaurs. nonprofits are not protected under the Charitable Immunity Act. And essentially what it says is if you're doing things on a charitable basis, as a kind, benevolent person, then you can't be sued. That's not true. You need protection. You have to have protection. That's part of that risk management piece.
Protection
I talked
from an
about.
insurance standpoint?
Well, from
Correct.
a liability.
For
standpoint,
liability, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
So Sally, your
Years
volunteer,
ago-
she falls and gets
Sure.
injured,
Well,
you
there's
better
all
be
kinds
covered,
of things, yeah.
right, or whatever.
I mean,
right?
even someone getting sick from the food that's being distributed.
Right.
I mean, everybody thinks that, today insurance is the lottery, it's a social lottery, right? The attorneys are on TV saying, you don't have to pay us unless we win.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Right.
right,
So-
right. Sue anybody.
Right,
Right.
I don't
Sue.
even have to buy a lottery ticket, I can just call you up and say,
Yeah.
hey, this is what happened.
Right,
Go
I
get it.
fell. Sue.
I don't have much going on. The attorney says so. Let's take it on. Let's
Right.
try it. Right.
Yeah,
Wow.
so there are some mistakes that nonprofits make, from that standpoint, that you have to know, and that's why, as Jodi said, make sure you talk to your attorney and your CPA and the people that you have that you trust that help you with your business.
Okay.
Right on.
There's over 43,000 nonprofits in the state of Michigan.
Wow.
43,000.
43,000. I would say contacting you guys, and there is an organization that's in our building, the Michigan Nonprofit
Yep.
Association.
And your MNRP or something is.
Yeah, M&A.
Yep,
Yeah,
M&A.
they would be a great resource, Thurau.
Yeah.
And I love what you said. You said contact your attorney or your CPA or your
The people that
HR.
you trust, yes.
So what I would say to most of the 43,000 nonprofits,
Get one.
get one.
We're available. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Get one because they're flying by the seat of their pants right
Well,
now.
it's so mission focused that we
Yes.
forget to worry about the business aspect of
There's-
it.
They really
Yeah.
do, and you know what? And here's my tip: is
You're pondering, or I'm sorry,
All right, my-
pondering from the field. Be correct.
all right. My pondering from the field is seek out a professional organization like the Business Squad. That we're only the way that we're compensated. The Business Squad is the same way you're doing it piecemeal with this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and all these
Right.
different but what we have is a communication between us, so there's some congruence, I guess
Yes.
is the word, in how it's structured. And what we really can do is take that, not just a little bit, but to a large degree, off your plate, so that you as the nonprofit can truly focus on
Your mission.
what you're doing, your mission,
Your vision.
right? And what our mission is. And I was thinking about this today because what I listened to and watched your podcast was what's our mission, and you know what our mission is, to make it easier for you to do your mission.
That's
It really is. That's our
That's
mission.
awesome.
Our
And
mission is to support your mission.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true. So
yeah,
we do.
right. And but you know what? But what we can accomplish, win-win. You win because we support you, is a win. Morally for us. You know what I mean?
success and significance.
Success, and
That's
significance right there.
Right.
And
That's
that's where you
trademark.
get it. Because I can do what I do and make money, but where's my significance? My significance is helping, my clients achieve.
Absolutely.
I think that's what, that kind of juiced me today, so thanks. Yeah.
Well, we've kind of fallen off our whole formalized track.
That's
So
okay,
I'm
I was
gonna-
like, you're
That's
really
from that,
engaging.
but that's from the
Totally
cloud, the
apologize
guys
for
you
that.
can't see, right?
It's all right. It's all good. It's only a problem for Scott Mixer. Because you have to dice this up, and you know what? It's okay to just put some flops around you.
Put a
Because our
little,
official
put a little
format-
clown head over here and over here.
That's right.
These are these two talking
Well, our
heads.
format is that's what's officially start till next week, so it's all good. So with that being said, I'm gonna let everybody go around robin one more time with their tip of the week for everyone watching. If it echoes what you said already under the pondering segment, fine, or whatever that case is. But it's your 30-second tip of the week for everybody that watches, and it doesn't have to be a nonprofit. It could be anyone in the business space at large. So
Sure.
with that being said, Mr. Schemanske, let's start off with round robin.
You know what? I'm going to concede my time to Mr. Lippens because
Oh!
I've said my
Okay.
piece.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Cool.
My tip of the week. I have a couple nonprofit clients within my payroll business. So my tip of the week is, you may be a nonprofit, you do things, in gratitude for other people, but in essence, you're just like any other business. So if you employ people, you need to use proper payroll practices. You need to use proper HR practices. You need to have proper job descriptions and payment practices. So it's important to consult a CPA or a payroll company or HR specialist.
Right.
And if you're not doing that right now, then you're opening yourself to a lot of risk. And so you're mission driven and you have great things to do for the community, but make sure that you understand that there's many aspects of your organization that still relate back to business practices. And we're definitely here to help, but there's a lot of other people out there to help you too. So just don't let it go for too long.
Awesome.
James?
Sure. So I would tell you that if you don't take care of your dollars, they won't take care of you. And that being said, don't assume anything about your financial situation at all. Assume nothing. Go in, get it checked from soup to nuts, top to bottom. Be it your cash flow, your donations, your sales, as a nonprofit or a profitable entity, doesn't matter. Make sure your funnel's correct. Make sure your assumptions are correct. Make sure your tax assumptions are correct. You have to put it all through the screen, right? And the beauty of that is if you pick me to help you, it doesn't cost you anything to do that. So why wouldn't you is my argument all the time. But whoever you are, if you don't pick me, pick whoever makes you feel comfortable. Maybe you don't like hats. I get it. And you might say, I don't want hats or guys that wear vests and ties. I understand all of that. But that being said, I won't be hurt. I got therapy. Somebody loves me behind me. I'm good. I got a wife. It's good. But if you do pick me, understand that I will bring the full power of the squad behind me to pick up all the other pieces that we point out through the process that may be lacking, which is the most powerful piece that you may forget. You go into financial person. I'm going over my segment because I can. I have the board. If you're a financial person, they might say, here's your stuff. Thanks. Well, I'll say, well, here's the stuff. Who's answering these things? You'll say, I don't know. Well, that's okay. Ben, Jodi, Ellen, Dave, John, Lippens, come here. We got these problems. Beep, beep, bing, bing, bing. Heather, hey, they need somebody to put it all together, right? Because that's the power of what we have. And that's the difference versus anybody else that's out there that you're going to sit down with, be it a nonprofit or profitable business. So
One more thing.
That's who we are.
Little teeny thing about nonprofits, if you get a CPA, make sure he understands fund accounting. Anyway.
Boom! That's important. And
You got some mic.
Right. I'm gonna pass my time.
And she
I'm gonna pass
passed
my
her time.
along.
Dave?
Concede is the word.
That's right.
Well, I would say, and this is for any business, but primarily I see it a lot in nonprofits, is they know they have to buy liability insurance and they buy the cheapest liability insurance they can buy because they don't want that line item on the GL. Well, you know what? You get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. You have to be careful. You need to be covered. You're spending that money and you want that to respond to protect your business.
Well, didn't we cover this in the last? The last thing is that's the number one target of these attorneys is liability insurance for nonprofits.
Improperly.
Well,
You know, that's their
talked about
target.
it initially or originally when we went around and introduced ourselves. It's about risk management,
Yeah.
and that can save you more money and keep your
Well, and
keep
it's
the liability of your
it's
business.
officers, whatever the other
D&O
company.
liability.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good doctor, do you have anything you want to add?
Sure. I would say, first of all, thanks for having me on the squad,
Yeah.
the
You're welcome
business squad.
anytime.
This was awesome. I am a small business owner as well, so I do get you as in that level as well. But I would simply say to your audience and to all five of you that when you look at gigantic, enormous, seemingly unbeatable problems like hunger, it's easy to think, oh my God, what can I do? So I refer you to Sir Edmund Burke, who for 17 years introduced legislation into the House of Commons in England to abolish slavery throughout the British Empire. For 17 years he was told no.
Right on.
Finally, he introduced it, it voted out of committee, it passed the House of Commons. He promptly resigned as a representative, a member of the House of Commons. He did so he could take the fight against slavery worldwide. he said 2 quotes when he walked out of the House of Commons. The first one you'll know. He said, "The only thing that is necessary for good men, for evil to triumph, is for good men to do nothing."
Yeah, that's right.
In this case,
Martin Luther did the same.
good men and women.
Thank you.
That's right.
But what's never said, that's never quoted what he said, was the second thing. He said, "The biggest mistake any person ever makes is when they choose to do nothing because they only think they can do a little."
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's great
Wow.
quotes.
With that, I usually close with something else, but I think that
Yeah.
set it
That's
all.
awesome.
So we're gonna drop the mic. Peace out, love to all.